You cannot stop listening once you begin, because these words touch the very thread of your life. Every day you wake up carrying a burden you did not choose, a burden of expectations, comparisons, fears, and endless desires. You smile to the world, but deep inside you carry questions that never leave you. Why do I feel restless even when I achieve what I wanted? Why does love turn into conflict? Why does silence feel so rare, so difficult? Life has become a race where everyone is running, yet no one really knows the destination. You are taught to succeed, but never taught how to be at peace with yourself. You are trained to think endlessly, but never trained to observe your own thoughts. And this is why suffering follows you like a shadow. From the moment you open your eyes in the morning, the mind begins its noise. It says, you must hurry. You are late. You are behind others. You must prove yourself. You must become something. And then you obey, without even asking, who is this voice? Why should I listen to it? For years and years you obey a voice that is not yours but borrowed. Borrowed from parents, teachers, society, traditions, and the fear of not belonging. You follow it because everyone else follows it. Yet secretly, silently, you feel lost. Look around. People are smiling, working, building families. But behind their eyes is the same loneliness you feel. No matter how full their schedule is, inside they feel empty. This emptiness is the truth we try to escape by filling it with activity. We fill it with social media, with endless conversations, with food, with entertainment, with religion, with possessions. But it returns, always returns. Because emptiness is not a punishment, it is a call. It is life's way of asking you to stop running, to look inward, to be still. But stillness is terrifying, isn't it? The moment you are quiet, you begin to see the chaos within you. Memories come back, fears come up, loneliness screams. So you escape again into work, into relationships, into future dreams. And the cycle continues. Osho used to say, you are afraid of silence because silence reveals the truth of who you are. And you have lived too long with masks, you have forgotten your original face. And Krishnamurti would ask you, have you ever really looked at yourself without judgment, without trying to change? Have you just observed, simply observed, the movement of your thoughts, the play of your emotions? If you try this, even for a few moments, you will see how restless the mind is, how it jumps like a monkey from one branch to another. The mind is never here. It is always in yesterday or tomorrow. And because it is never here, you never truly live. You only pass through life like a shadow, never tasting its depth, never smelling its fragrance. Think of your relationships. How many times have you loved someone only to feel suffocated later? How many times has love turned into a battlefield of demands and expectations? At first there is beauty, freshness, excitement, and then slowly the old patterns creep in. The need to control, the fear of losing, the desire to possess. You call it love, but most of the time it is just attachment, dependency, fear disguised as love. And then comes the pain. You blame the other, they blame you. But have you ever looked at the mechanism behind it? The mind wants security. It wants guarantees. It wants to own another person's heart as if it were property. But life is fluid. Nothing can be possessed. When you try to hold water in your fist, it slips away. The same happens with love. Love can be lived only when there is freedom. The moment you try to cage it, it dies. Osho said it beautifully. If you love a flower, don't pluck it, because the moment you pluck it, it begins to die. If you love, let it be free, let it bloom, let it dance in the wind. But look at the tragedy. You call it love, but you destroy the very thing you claim to love by your fear, by your insecurity. And Krishnamurti would gently cut deeper. Can you see this fact without trying to change it? Can you look at the movement of attachment and fear and realize that the observer is not separate from what he observes? You are that fear, you are that attachment, and only when you see it wholly, without escaping, does transformation happen. The same applies to work. You spend the best years of your life working, struggling to earn money, to build a name, to secure a future. But ask yourself, does your work give you joy, or is it just survival? Most people drag themselves through jobs they secretly dislike, sacrificing their present for a future that may never come. You say, I will be happy when I succeed, when I earn more, when I buy that house, when I retire. But the future never comes, because when it comes, it is still the present, and the mind invents new conditions for happiness. So life slips away in postponement. Isn't this madness? Osho would laugh and say, you are postponing life for death. You are preparing to live tomorrow, but tomorrow never comes. Only this moment is real. Live now or never. And Krishnamurti would ask, why have you accepted this pattern? Who told you that life is meant to be a burden? Can you question the very structure of ambition, of comparison, of success? If you see clearly, success is nothing but society's approval. But society itself is blind. You are chasing recognition from people who are themselves lost, themselves seeking recognition. It is a chain of beggars, each asking for alms from another beggar. And in this begging, we lose the richness of being. Look at fear. How much of your life is shaped by it? Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of death, fear of loneliness, fear of being nobody. Fear sits silently behind almost every decision. You choose careers out of fear, marry out of fear, stay in relationships out of fear, follow religion out of fear. Fear makes you worship, fear makes you obey, fear makes you imitate. And yet, fear is nothing but thought projecting a future that does not exist. Have you noticed? In the actual moment, there is rarely fear. When you are crossing the road and a car comes suddenly, you act. There is alertness, but no fear. Fear begins only when thought says, what if I fail? What if I lose? What if I die? So fear is a story created by thought, not reality. Krishnamurti would insist, can you see that the thinker and thought are one? That fear is not separate from you. If you observe it without naming, without running away, in that very observation, fear dissolves. And Osho would add, fear is natural only as long as you resist life. Once you trust life, once you flow with it, fear disappears, because life itself takes care of you. The problem is, we rarely trust life. We live in resistance. We want things to be our way, and when they are not, we suffer. We want people to behave according to our desires, and when they don't, we are hurt. We want circumstances to match our plans, and when they don't, we are angry. But life has never promised to follow your mind. Life flows on its own. Rivers flow, winds blow, seasons change. You can either resist and suffer, or flow and rejoice. The choice is always yours. But the ego chooses resistance, because the ego survives only in conflict. That is why you keep struggling, fighting, controlling, manipulating, and then you ask why you are tired. Look closely at your mind. It is like a restless child, always wanting something, never content with what is. And contentment feels dangerous to the mind, because contentment means the end of its games. That is why silence, awareness, meditation feel so frightening, because they threaten the mind's control. But the truth is, the mind is not your master. It is only a tool. It should be used when needed and put aside when not. Right now, it uses you. It has become the master, and you are the servant. And this is the root of suffering. Freedom begins when you reverse this order, when you become the master and the mind becomes the servant. But how does this happen? Not through control, not through suppression, not through discipline, but through awareness. Just watch the mind, without judgment, without interference. Watch its movements as you would watch clouds passing in the sky. Slowly, you will see a distance growing between you and the mind. And in that distance, freedom flowers. And when freedom flowers, life changes completely. You no longer live by borrowed values. You no longer chase illusions. You begin to live authentically, moment to moment. Love becomes pure. Work becomes play. Silence becomes natural. Fear disappears. Joy arises without reason. This is the life Osho pointed to, a life of celebration, of laughter, of innocence. And this is the life Krishnamurti pointed to, a life of attention, of clarity, of freedom from conditioning. Two different doors, but they open to the same space, a space where you are no longer a prisoner of thought, no longer a victim of society, no longer a seeker of approval. You simply are. And in that being, there is peace, there is beauty, there is truth. So the question is not how to improve your life, how to fix your relationships, how to manage your stress. The question is deeper. Can you wake up from the dream of the mind? Can you see the structure of conditioning that has trapped you? Can you drop the borrowed masks and look directly at life, naked and unprotected? If you dare, even for a moment, you will touch a silence that no noise can disturb, a joy that no sorrow can steal, a freedom that no authority can limit. That silence, that joy, that freedom, that is your true nature. Everything else is just a shadow.